Can I name players? Is it f***ed up?
I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I really wanted to come into this stop hating it.
Because at some point we needed to address the titles, and we're gonna do it now. I don't think I ever told you this.
No, what's that? In this week's podcast, we crash at my catfish uncle's house. Everything surrounding the first stop on the DGPT tour, chess.com.
And all that clickbait nonsense, but you can skip to whatever time this says on the screen for that. But that's just disc golf. Florida was basically just we weren't even gonna go to Florida. Do you remember that? Originally,
Florida was a debate
because it was so out the way from Waco. It was like a 2-week extra on already what was supposed to be originally planned.
Yeah, and you got to realize any travel that's over 10 hours for the tour, they usually allow a week off.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like, do we want to make that trip? Do we fly and then drive from Illinois or Wisconsin down to Waco? Do we drive down there? There's so many what ifs, and we were kind of debating on it. But when it really comes down to it, and like what we've done in years prior, is like, how are we not at the first event?
Well, you mean that last year? Because for some reason in 2023, when Disc Golf World literally wasn't it wasn't a thing. We weren't even making videos like we do now. Like you guys wouldn't recognize us.
Yeah,
we just convinced ourselves that we needed to be at LVC, and that was our kind of beginning.
I think it was just our mindset of like, hey, if we make content on this stuff, like, and we have an opportunity to be there, how do we not be there?
And that was the same mindset. And we were there. We drove. Florida from our area is like 20. What was it, like 18 hours?
It was something stupid.
It was
like
super
that.
far.
Stupid.
And
like
I played around with a dude a couple months prior, and he said that he lived in Nashville, and that if I was ever in town, that we could crash at his place. So I think I just told Swiss I got a buddy who let us crash at his place in Nashville. So that's where we headed.
Yeah, man. This like was definitely one of our like Norman Bates possibilities of like, you know what I mean? Like you don't know what to expect, right? Like I've never met the guy. Jefferson at least met the guy. That made me feel better. And it was like one of those things that like it's funny on the first day of our trip, like couldn't have kind of like we ran into like a huge accident and like we were in traffic locked forever. It was brutal. But also the first day of our trip, it was like the first time I legit lied to my wife about this. Because my wife was like vehemently against staying at people's houses, staying at fans' houses. Because like I'd always say like, hey, fans are recommending it. And like it's kind of difficult to explain that type of culture.
Yeah, this is just what disc golfers do.
Yeah, like so it's kind of like difficult for people to understand that, especially my wife. But yeah, so I lied to my wife. I told my wife that a fan had a Airbnb and was letting us stay at the Airbnb while they were staying at home, is what I told my wife. And
it was all fine though. There's
we stayed at Aaron's house. Great dude, couldn't be any better. Awesome experience, awesome first time experience. Like it could have been like weird, but
we rolled in like super late. I feel like super late at night. Yeah, and then we played around the next morning. And we
played in a league.
We were supposed to weren't we supposed to just leave the first day?
That was the thought process.
And then we got convinced.
That was our thought process. Yeah. Then we got roped into staying.
I remember having a conversation with Swiss too because we kind of were on a strict schedule. We were going to our uncle's great uncle. I don't know how you want to call it. I'm just gonna refer to my uncle.
Yeah, it's my uncle.
Yeah, I don't really care.
I don't know your reference to that, or the legality of it.
But we were going to go there the next day, kind of loose plans. And then, Aaron just was like, we need to play this course, yada, yada, yada. What was happening? But we were staying an extra night. I remember having a conversation with Swiss where I was like, dude, I can't say no. Like, there's just no way I can say no. I'm going to stay at his house. He really wants to play this course. So, we stayed an extra night in Nashville.
Hey, a tip to some fans, it is hard for us to say no.
I can't say no, dude. Never. I don't want to be impolite.
Yeah, no, but Aaron was awesome, man. Fed us, stayed there, got some great disc golf courses.
Took down the league.
Like I said, at first, couldn't have been more accommodating and more easy.
And we did need to sleep in the minivan.
Yeah.
Extended.
Which is this is wild. This is the also weird thing with the tour is like with us staying at our uncle's, we were probably gonna go our first like week and a half not sleeping in a minivan, which is what we were kind of worried about just with the cold until we got south. You know what I mean? But yeah, so then after Tennessee, the plan was to go to my uncle's house, my recently divorced uncle. So it was like, I don't know why. Is that funny?
Because it's so you don't need to say that. Like that's
Man,
not,
no. You do need to say recently divorced uncle to lay out the picture of like this weird bachelor pad and like the weird stay that we had. I'm sorry.
If he's watching this,
Well, he's not watching this.
Shout out for he's got a YouTube works. He only had 3 channels on his TV.
Yeah,
and he
bro.
watched
Like
Jeopardy all day, dude.
No, there was more. We just never turned them. Like those were his favorites. Dude, it was literally like the Game Show Network, a news, and I forgot what the other one. Probably like some some shopping station. But you also had like, man, it was a bachelor pad. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like,
so yeah, we just
like it was just weird
upgraded
food.
from the minivan. Well, Aaron's house, I slept on a couch. You got a bed.
I did.
Now we got 2 air mattresses on the floor.
2 air mattresses,
which is
on
dope.
the floor.
You know, we take whatever we want. The chair was just so uncomfortable, which is odd because he took like 4 naps a day on that chair.
Bro.
I couldn't do it.
It's also kind of weird, like with Aaron, it was a little different. We had more time, right? When we're going to practice rounds and we're going to the course, we're gone all day. We leave usually before he woke up, and then we're coming back and we're immediately working. So it wasn't like feel bad in that respect, but like the stay couldn't have been better. And
well,
like
at the time too, the work was different. We originally intended on doing daily recaps on individual channels while still having
thought about doing
Disc Golf World recap on Monday and This Week in Disc Golf always on Friday. So we were putting out 2 videos a day for chess, and then we put a weekend wrap up.
That's wild.
It was insane. It was actually like ridiculous.
That's wild. So yeah, so here we are in the middle of, not middle, but like, man, in Florida, there's really not much but like older people and like a lot of space. So getting in, like, we got a couple of rounds in, but nothing too dramatic, nothing like really nothing impactful on that front. But yeah, it was kind of a weird experience staying with the uncle. My favorite uncle story, my Uncle David, was where he told me how he was going to have a threesome with 2 girls that were younger than me. And like I had to sit there and explain to him, like, these girls are younger than me. Your nephew. And you think you're going to pull 2 women at your age? He's like, yeah, for sure. And I'm like, Unc, like, don't go buying gift cards or fucking anything.
That was what he was telling me. Buying GameStop gift cards.
Yeah, like, man. I was like, don't buy any GameStop.
It was wild. And then it's like, dude, it's like the 13-year-old boys pranking you right now. It's like so obvious. They wanted like Roblox or something.
Yeah, it was kind of wild. But yeah.
Let us stay there though.
So yeah, he did let us stay there. Unbelievable time. It was a blast. He was still fun. But like, I remember he cooked 1 meal for us, and it's like, it was such a bachelor meal. I was like, I forget what it was. Yeah, it was like one of those like,
he had Pop-Tart little bites in the morning. We had like 4 of those every day because I wouldn't want to pay for concessions.
But yeah, like the accommodations, though we were inside, like Jefferson said, still like the value of even sleeping on an air mattress on a floor in a house with a running bathroom, with all that, huge deal. Like, you know what I mean? That's the most difficult part about, like, it's really not like the sleeping accommodations. Yeah, that gets like cramped, but like not having a possible 24-hour bathroom in like walking distance of where you're staying, shit like that.
You know, it's wild.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever told you this.
No, what's that? This
so
is great.
I got like preface for like the viewers at home. I have like weird stomach issues. It just happens. You live with it. One of those times at 3 a.m. or whatever it was early, super early. Stomach issues were happening. I went to the bathroom. That door was locked. Went to the
God, was it the night that I had like bad stomach issues? What did we eat?
That might have been the day he cooked, dude. That might have been the day he cooked.
Oh man, it might have been. Man, there was one night where I was like bad. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. And then so that bathroom was basically occupied. I went to like go to the David's room. I went in and just saw him sleeping there, and I was like, I cannot, I can't cross him to go to his bathroom. So I just ran outside and I did my business. And I
fucking shat in his fucking yard, bro.
No, went to the neighbor's yard.
Okay, cool.
Like at least 3.
Good job. Good job on that. You shat in the neighbor's yard. Man, and you're worried about me saying my divorced uncle who's getting fucking catfished, and you're telling a story about shitting in his neighbor's yard.
It happens, dude. It happens. It's just so unfortunate. That it's like usually it's you suck it up because it's like, oh, I'm in a minivan. What am I gonna do now? It's like, damn it, dude. I was in a house.
Wow.
Yeah.
At 3 a.m,
I don't know what it was. I just remember panicking because it wasn't like I like waited it out. Obviously, I didn't like
Yeah, you tried to
immediately go.
wait
I was
it
like,
out. I gotcha.
okay, and I was like, nah, man, like this ain't happening.
It's an emergency moment.
Yeah.
It's an emergency moment.
This would really be a shame if this podcast is the one that blew up.
Talking about your irritable bowel syndrome. Hey, that's the life on the roads, man. Like we're not.
I can't control it.
Yeah, we're gonna be.
Yeah.
You don't know what's gonna happen sometimes.
We just ran the numbers today as we're recording this. We hit 14,000 subscribers, which means that was when we were on tour. We gained like 3. So we basically went last tour from 10 to 14, and now we're jumping on with actual fans per se. Because at the off season we grew like 3,000 subscribers. A large point of like support of people over that the December time when we posted a video every single day, I would say.
Yeah, and I think like the weird thing about like as much as we kind of like alluded to in our last podcast is like, hey, this was more of a business trip. It was about funding, budgeting, and kind of the most like eye-opening thing is like the first day we were inundated with fans. Like, you know what I mean? Tons of fans were coming up saying they knew us, saying they loved us. Parents, family members of pros coming up to us,
taking pictures, signing
yeah,
autographs.
bro. It was just like, and don't get me wrong, we had a little bit of that like on our first tour in 2023, but it was like more towards the tail end, right? It wasn't at the initial start. Like pretty much, we were fortunate to get relatively recognized within like the first 3 or 4 stops, but man, like they hit the first stop right out of the gate. Was just kind of wild. Like it was just like it was just like holy. It was like one of those oh shit moments of like we are somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are like all the talks of like, hey, we're gonna bring the community, we're gonna bring disc golf culture, and we're gonna kind of get this, and like it's kind of one of those like, bro, people get it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're
like,
seeing the vision that we've
people
always
like
been saying.
understand, and like dude, like kids, like adults,
And again, when we went home,
yeah,
nobody in our life really knows what we
True.
do. Even like the disc golf, like we never talked about it. So we went all this off season, really grinding more than we were on tour in terms of videos being put out. And then all of a sudden, it's like people are coming up to us. It's like you're kind of somebody, and we're like, nah, bro.
yeah.
Like, we're just enjoying the disc golf.
And that was wild.
It's just weird.
Getting asked for autographs, not knowing how to sign them, and then also, you know, the other cool thing that we were able to do is we were able to reunite with some people that we saw at championship. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where we met them on championship, heard their story, talked to them, they became fans, and Beef Supreme and the Posse.
Yeah.
And like to see them again was like really just fucking cool to like, you know, seeing people on multiple stops and seeing people along those lines and like being like, oh man, like these people are cool with us. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I really wanted to come into this stop hating it. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I was one of the very few people that didn't think it was that bright of an idea to get rid of LVC. I thought LVC was great. We've been there.
Mm-hmm.
I understand how it plays on coverage. I understand what it looks. I'm sure a lot of you are shaking your head of like it was boring. But like every tournament, and you guys will probably hear this, be a motif, every tournament is far different in person. And LVC was a lot more difficult than what it looked like on coverage. And it was really enjoyable event. Great food, great vending, the best disc drop with the Firebirds.
Mm-hmm.
Like it had a lot. And it's also, we're talking Las Vegas. Like we're talking tourist town. Seemed like tailor-made for
too,
what
like,
the tour wanted.
Over Olympus, the spectating was so much better as a fan. You can get close, you could see
Yeah.
the action. You're seeing the disc golf you paid for sometimes.
Absolutely. And that was like, that was the only, but like when you got onto that property and you started seeing like where the tees were, where the pins are, how it's laid out, and like it was one of those like, holy shit, this is being done right. Now, I'm not going to argue. I hate the idea of having holes that aren't visible, whether you're a VIP or not, right? Like nobody wants that in stops.
Mhm.
And it is, there's not really like any post up stops at chess.com where you can like watch multiple holes. It's kind of like find your favorite shots, maybe post up. Walking alongside them's a little difficult when you have to bypass certain holes, or you're just like catching the catch cam shot angle where you're watching him throw on a plateau like way up and like
Mhm.
all you're seeing is the catch. So yeah, as far as like a spectating thing along those lines, there might be different aspects. Like if somebody came to me and said, "Hey, I want to see the most and best disc golf," like that's a little difficult of an area, right? Like, but as far as a kickoff to the season, location wise, and the actual course, I kind of left saying this should be almost like the opening event every year. I'm sure that'll adjust, but like I lost as much of like my feelings with LVC about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'll be real.
I don't really mind it too much. I feel like Olympus and that style of course is what embodies disc golf. So I'm not cool. I'm okay with.
And as great as it was still the first tournament, and you could tell, right? Like the vending wasn't all the way set up, the parking lot wasn't already set up. They're like, and of course, like we hear where the clubhouse is going. The clubhouse is going to be built. So like, this was I don't want to say premature because the fucking Williams brothers put it together. Nick Carl did everything they needed to do to make it a legit stop. And that was with a full week's rain before it also, like that whole entire All-Star event. But it's also one of those where it's like, man, I know it's going to improve and I know it's going to get better. And like the vending will get better. You know what I mean? The parking will get better. But yeah, man, it was a cool stop, cool people. And all the family members, man, I think like I think Paul Krantz's dad came up to us, Gavin Phillips.
Kyle Klein's uncle
Oh
bought us
yeah,
a beer.
Kyle Klein's uncle. Who I mistakenly thought it was Cynthia Ricciotti's dad.
Yeah, and it was awkward. And
It was awkward as he's
it.
buying me a beer. I ask him how to pronounce his last name.
He's like,
that was good. And then it came together. I'm like, oh man, you're Kyle Klein's uncle. That's even cooler. So
that was when we officially met Casey for the first time.
Yeah, man, that was wild.
Yeah. All the reconnects, like that we were kind of thought we were friends with pros, and we never communicated all off season. It was kind of cool seeing who would come up to us and high five us, dap us up, or whatever. It's like, oh, we are friends. Awesome, dope. Trying to think of how we even recorded. I think that our process for the first event, we sat on one hole. Can't think of the hole it was, but I visualized the hole. We sat there for basically every single card and recorded every player that was coming through because we thought might as well include as many players as possible. So in our vision, I mean, we posted a video way back when. Way back when they had over 200,000 views. If it was a compilation of every pro throwing off hole one at the country club. So that was our thought process. Copy this, add our style underneath, add the overlays, and then use the DGPT clips when it makes sense via the story.
I think we were even possibly contemplating just running a repeat of that video. Like, hey, here's every pro, throw this.
We
hole.
tried, that we definitely later in the season there were holes that we tried doing it, and it just didn't hit like
the same.
So,
and that was kind of like our adjustment along the lines on how we did our content and like how, you know what I mean? It's as much as figuring out what worked and like trying to duplicate it, but it's always also constantly adjusting. And so like, man, like even our prep, we kicked on our video, watched our own video, watched what happened, some of the conversations that happened. Cause like, man, this event still wasn't clean in its own right. Like we said, we had bad weather, muddy conditions.
This is the first event after the PDG Live switch from UDisc, so there wasn't even full stats.
Lost it on a whole day. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it crashed.
Like on a Saturday. Yeah. Every tournament.
It was cool, too. That was one of the first times when, to me, you can tell we were on tour, and it mattered more because if you watch the first recap, we have clips of PDG or DGPT officials handing out scorecards to everyone because PDG Live went down, and this year the rule changed where every person had to keep score, so everyone needed a scorecard, and if they weren't handed one, we actually had footage of that happening. No one else could say they did that. So that
Absolutely.
was one of the parts where like, cool, it kind of matters that we're here for this.
Yeah, and I think like as we got more comfortable along with like last tour, like man, last tour there's obviously ropes, and our biggest thing is we don't want to interrupt the play, right? So we played it too safe,
Mhm.
admittedly. And this last time, you know what I mean? We're kind of like we just decided to like, hey, we're gonna act like we're supposed to be here,
Mhm.
right? Like, and that's kind of our thought process.
And it was pretty much just standing where we always thought we're.
Yeah,
And it was whenever a DGPT camera guy would stand, it would be next to them.
yeah,
That was
normally.
the play.
And so yeah, like it was doing a lot of that, and like I do remember it was just such a different process to when we were out there, and like just seeing it from day one, getting recognized. Man, we had like people coming up from Europe. I remember like a guy from asked me if I was actually from Switzerland, and I'm like, no. But like, so like, you know what I mean? So like when you have like aspects of that, and like then to like get proven, like getting substantial stuff to being like, yeah, this is why we're onto it, right? Like this is a story, sure, that would be told, but to be able to show it is groundbreaking for what this sport hasn't had, right? As far as like disc golf content, for the most part, prior to what we were running, it was literally coverage plays for years, coverage plays and podcast. You know what I mean? And to be able to do when it came to the pro aspects, I should say. So like when it came to be like, hey, we're here, we could show this, we could show them handing out hand cards and we can discuss it. And
Or being told from players specifically and how
yeah,
this is a drag and how this is annoying and what they have to do. I remember even, I don't know if I can name. Can I name players? Is it fucked up? If
I
I
don't
name
know.
it? Okay, well, one
Go
of the
ahead.
players while they were doing scores, one of
You want to whisper it? I'll say yes or no. Ooh,
it's I don't know. It's like
that
right
was
on
a
the
tough
board.
one.
I don't know. I'm
I
not
don't
gonna say
mind
it. I know we don't mind it, but I don't
I
want to not
gotcha.
be friends with the guy.
Sure.
Someone at the beginning, every time on hole one, the pros were asked, "Do you want to keep your own scores?" And he's like, "Why the fuck? Don't ask me that ever again. Like I'm a professional. Why would I do that for myself?"
Yeah. Or
God,
stats
you know, it
too.
makes
Didn't they
sense.
ask stats
Yeah.
also? Yeah.
And so it's like you hear stuff from that firsthand, or you're told things from that, and it's like, cool. Now I know how to tell the story because yes, you can blow it off as the pros need to get over it, blah blah blah. But it's like this is their professional, this is their
Which is, trust me, that is
livelihood.
most of the comments in every one of our videos.
And they need,
Pros need to stop crying and just get used to it, is what we hear so
especially
often.
for the first event of the year. It's like this is everyone's at like the high point where it's like this
For
is my year. I'm gonna
sure.
pop off out of
Yeah.
and then it's like don't have any distractions for them. And this is to them, this is how they perceive something that wasn't that they liked. The only way that can be changed is if someone like us can make that known to the public. Now, if that can, if
Absolutely.
it changes, whatever. But they now, no one can say it wasn't known, which is our job and how I think, at least.
Yeah, man, and that's what we always wanted. And like as much as it was like, hey, when we're on tour, it's to make our content better and to have like cuts, but it's also to like so much of our like, man, so much of disc golf is just already lost. Like non-existent, to where, you know, unlike other sports when you have the LeBron and MJ conversations, you can pull up highlights. Like we don't have that to the extent that we could. And to be able to provide some different aspect of that, or to be able to like show that. Like this was also the first event with the time. Like wasn't it Ricky who got like docked? Or who?
Yeah,
Man,
you got to be there 5 minutes
yeah,
before.
this was the first. This was the first
Yeah.
event with the time, and that being, and people getting caught up on that, like, and then like it's also like the stupid stuff, like the P gate that was happening in the parking lot at the next. But like none of this is like, you know what I mean? The DGPT is not going to talk about it. They're not going to ask about it, and like a lot of the established content creators, or what people view as content creators, is like, I think too many people are afraid to say when things are negative. And because of that, like, I don't think it portrays an accurate picture of what our sport is. And if you're not portraying an accurate picture, how do you improve? Like Jefferson said. So, like, to be able to just be able to show that is like so huge. And like to have that value, like to come, man, I couldn't tell you like how amped I was coming into that first stop, getting the recognition, getting people to say they dig us, like finding it easy to get content, putting mics in front of people's hands, like, and like just finding all of that far simpler on this trip. And then to turn around and be like, man, we caught the PDGA going down, right?
Mhm.
We caught this, we caught that. In later episodes, hey, I caught James Conrad slipping off a tee. Hey, I caught this ace. Like to be able to like have those moments and to be like, if I wasn't there, this would just be a story, right? Like,
Mhm.
and that's kind of the neat things that, and to get like that validation first off, certainly helps you prepare you when you're going to go live in Texas for a month. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And like to be, and the travel of it all is kind of neat. Like, so as much as like, you know what I mean? The culture was a little different. Like we didn't get to experience much of the Florida, like actual disc golf culture, but what we were able to provide on the DGPT tour stop was like immense. So the other weird aspect of being on the road and like unlike pros are usually trying to get to the next stop as quickly as possible to get to the practice rounds, right? Or to their next tournament. So like usually they're in and out. Like we got a day of editing on Mondays. Usually our like travel days are Tuesday and everything along those lines. But like when you have a house to stay and you got time off, like we're kind of open. We just decided to hit up Nick Carl and like
Oh, dude.
hit up an interview.
I forgot about that because when I sent him the original, I forgot it was probably like Sunday or Saturday or sometime during the event, super late at night. We're like, oh, this is a great idea. Pulled up the Instagram, sent him a nice DM, and then cool, he responded. And then I look back at how I sent him the message. Definitely called him Matt. So
Oh fuck.
thankfully, he still took the interview. And just the next day, he's like, pull up at the course. We pull up, park basically right on that. We just put like
Yeah,
wherever we wanted, like right up front.
for
And then we
sure.
just aimlessly walked around, taking some B-roll shots, ran into Nick on the somewhere on the course. Then we were scoping out locations. We found the green on hole 18. Like, dope, this looks cool. Set up a little tripod, set up a stool, and just ask some questions. It's so funny. That was literally how it went. And then Jeff Corns was like nearby. We're like, hey, you're the TD. You want to jump in
Yeah.
on this thing? And he agreed to it. And then all of a sudden, we put out that video, and 30,000 views later, we could tell the story of the first DGPT event of 2024, and all of what they wanted to be known was told.
Yeah, the work that was put in with Nick Carl, the Williams brothers, everything they did, the amount of mulch they brought in. And like it was kind of neat to give the TD more than a 5 minute interview.
Even we just
Yeah.
spotlighted it for, I don't know how long the video is, but it's not an hour and a half or whatever. You
No.
don't. It's specifically like, hey, we're gonna tell this story here, find it here, and we can talk about, because at some point we needed to address the titles, and we're gonna do it now because I know people were mad about some people were mad about the title because it was. I think it was like Paul Macbeth saves the DGPT,
Oh,
and it was we were thinking like, hey,
pretty great title.
we got 30,000 people to click on it.
You can say like the whole don't judge a book by its title, but like, or the cover, but like, if you don't flash it up and give a reason for people to click on us, and it matches our personality too of what we are. We're not gonna say Nick Carl interview because we don't do interviews like everybody else.
No, in that whole thing, our voice wasn't even in it because we've
like,
always thought like it's not our story to tell, it's their story
no.
to tell. And however we can get their story told to the most disc golfers as possible is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, and it's very easy to say like, hey, if you just titled this, it would work. But when you're sitting there and you have to pay for gas and you're staring at like 500 views after 2 hours, you're gonna change the goddamn title. I'm sorry, like
You're gonna throw up a red arrow.
Yeah, we did overdo the red arrow.
Hey,
for
we
a bit,
changed now.
but
That
it worked.
OG red arrow. If you look back at those
Yeah,
thumbnails,
yeah.
Rest
That
in
was the thing.
peace.
I love how fans like came up to you're the red arrow guys.
But also,
I feel like we're the Costco guys type shit.
I would also love to see a thumbnail or a title that would be completely clickbait or whatever you want to make that is.
Yeah.
Sure, it's never misleading. Whatever we're talking about, we talk about. And I went back to look at all the damn titles because I wanted to make sure. And all the ones I scroll at, I would have trouble finding whichever ones would be a problem. So if you want to show those and you're really pissed off at it, let me know and I can let you know the reasoning, especially when it comes to we just were titling it like drama from this event. In our heads, it was like, dope. We don't need to think about titles anymore. We have
Yeah.
found a title that 20,000 people. We were not being greedy anymore. I was like, cool. If we can title it this way, not pissing people off. And then by the fucking third time we did that,
And for us, and man,
pissed
like,
people off.
and as greedily as it sounds, like, and even when we say like, "Hey, we're getting funding off of this video, we're getting this," but what it really breaks down to is like what Jay said. We want the story to be told, and I'd rather have the story be told and viewed than like it just being lost. And like
Mhm.
the amount of work that goes into it, you know what I mean? As much as yeah, Jay's saying like, sure. We went to the course, we showed up, we filmed some B-roll for about an hour and a half while they were getting ready, and then we set up a chair. As easy as that sounds, right?
Yeah.
It's still like we're trekking the course, we're filming this, we're getting B-roll, we're getting this, we're working questions in our heads, we're working in like how we're gonna process this. And again, then you throw the fact that we had a whole other interviewee just because they were there and we
Mhm.
open that door and then we have to think about that and engage on that and like all the process of that and the like legit cool story of Nick moving down there, Nick establishing that, building that up. I didn't want to lose it just because of a title that wouldn't work.
Mhm.
And that's just silly. That's just bad business. Doesn't help Nick, doesn't help us, doesn't help disc
I feel
golf.
like you're discrediting the probably
Sure.
10 plus hours that went into a single video that was enjoyed by however many people to just be like, your title's bad. I hate it. It's like, but like, dude, look, like, enjoy what was being said in front of you. Like, if you're gonna critique the content, cool. But the 6 words or 7 words in the title for 15 minutes of pure disc golf in your face, it's just silly.
For sure. Yeah, that or a video that would never have been done, but you're gonna just trash it because of the title.
Hmm.
The fact that we are able to make that and build on it.
And look at other disc golf
Yeah.
interviews on the internet that have those
Yeah.
similar titles and show me, and I'm not to be like any type of way, but show me them that get consistently 20 plus thousand views. Even to go, like, this was stupid. Last week we posted the Casey White interview. It was awesome. Same sort of situation. I titled it How Casey White Became a Professional Disc Golfer. I woke up, it had 2,500 views. In like, I know I don't want to be selfish, but like to us, like I was my heart
Those are
was
like red
broken.
alarms.
I was like,
Yeah.
that was our worst video in months.
Yeah, yeah.
All I did was change the title to How Simon Lazat's Cameraman Became a Professional Disc Golfer, changed the thumbnail, and now it has over 20,000 views just like that. Like that's proof. Like, and I can show you other times when we tried other titles, and then I was like, not the videos were not performing well, so I changed it because why would I just sit there and watch it do bad?
Man, let's be real. Like disc golf's so young and still in its infant stage. Why not try whatever gets views? You know what I mean? We mean like there's plenty of other content creators that get in the vise of people that don't actually play disc golf and like to be able to trash their content or this or that to just because you don't like it or you don't like an aspect of it, it doesn't make sense. Like especially when you're possibly growing the sport, growing the views, growing the participation, everything along those lines. It like it's just silly. And like we're not doing anything like as much as we are what we do here in disc golf world is different than everybody
Mhm.
else, right? And I understand everybody might not get our humor and everybody might not get our style. And hopefully you guys realize that we're not asshats.
Yeah, I'm not a complete
Yeah,
douchebag.
like it's kind of a persona. It's kind of this, but like at the same rate, like I'd rather this is done in every sport. This is aspects of what we do is being done in every sport, in every avenue, in every corner. And to be able to look down on it or negatively or say that we're too negative or this or that, you know what I mean? I'm not going to change your opinion.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It is what it is. While others want to hear it. And like I said, the fact that we were there was able to see them have video in our cut of them handing out paper copies,
Yeah.
right? Seeing that, showing aspects of that that you would not have otherwise to erase all that information, to erase all that work, to be like, yeah, I just don't like the title. You know what I mean? It's just silly.
yeah.
Like, and
You wrote probably 3,500 words, and you're mad about the 6.
Yeah.
That we put in the title.
Yeah.
It's like, damn it.
I know. Yeah, man. It is what it is. But like, you know what I mean? And we're kind of over it also
and
now.
I just want to say too, because it's so weird because you see it in the comments, and then it's like, damn, is this really a big problem? And my only thought process to do next is, all right, what's the like to dislike ratio? And when it's still, I just think about it as school. You know, I just graduated, so everything's fucking just school, man. I just look at it as
You're
a grade.
just trying to get that 90.
Yeah, as long as like, dude,
90%.
in college, if I was getting anything a C, I'm taking a dub, you know? So when I'm seeing just 90s and plus, it's like, okay, this isn't a horrible problem. And when they were excessively bad, I was like, okay, I will no longer phrase it this way, or that's when we, because from, I think it was USDGC. We were calling everything drama from whatever tournament, and then that tournament was like, stop doing this, and I was like, cool, I am done doing this. So moving forward, no longer will that be the blanket. I say that as today's video.
Man, I love that. I kind of love every time I read those comments. I used to get annoyed, but now I get joy out of them.
Oh, it just bothers me.
I know. I kind of like. I'm like, whatever.
Not really,
bro.
but
because part of me is like, hey, we're not going away, and we're gonna still do it. Because it works,
and we're
and like and if you guys don't argue that it works, like check out our views. I stand on our views, like compared to others. Like people may not know our names in the respects of others that do content, just because they've been there longer, they're more established than this. View for view, guys, we're there. I'm sorry, and I'm not changing until that changes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's gonna. It is what it is. Like
I can't wait to just come off super pretentious.
You think that's me becoming?
No, not at all. Because it's like you're just saying what needs to be said.
Yeah, like yeah.
It's just like I said, like it's so weird because we're just, at least me, I'm not the type of person to like say that. So now it's like we're about to put this on the internet, and it's like, damn. But I don't care. Like you said, like it's when we kind of need to just be like, hey, we started from nothing. When we started coming into this season, we had, I forgot what I said, we're almost at 10,000 subscribers from this moment. And it's cool to look back and finally say some of these things, because we've sat in quiet and silence because we've always felt like, hey, it's not about us. It's about the disc golf. As long as we can get through the year, maybe we can tell our perspective on things later.
And man, I'm not gonna also lie. Like, we need to hear our perspective. I couldn't tell you how many fans have come up to us, and me and Jay always laugh at this. How many fans actually come up to us? I've been listening to you guys for years, years, and it's like, no, you haven't. Like, we've been doing this for a year and a half. Like, this is like, this was our first full entire season.
Unless you've been listening to Kirby's Disc Golf World, man.
Yeah,
you ain't seen
that. We've been doing cover, and nobody watched that.
That's what I'm saying. That's the deep cut.
Like, yeah, Dondo's on that. But yeah, like, so like that's what's funny to me is like, as much as like we hear it, we see it, and like having people come up to us on say that stuff, and it's like,
or it's like they talk to us for so long saying how much their fans love us, and it's like, wait, you guys are uncle and nephew? It's like,
yeah. So as much as we beat up in the fact that we live in a minivan, we're uncle and it's purely because of what, like, the interactions that we have with our the fans that come up to us, and B, I think it's cool that we lived in a minivan.
Dude, awesome.
You got to realize, like, so at this one stop, it was probably we had 2 houses up, and we were probably looking at 20 plus hours on the road.
Away from home.
The other cool thing about chess.com was the fact that, like, chess was involved. Like, the actual sponsor was involved, was incorporated, did have engagement. You had chess tables, you had the pieces.
Magnus Carlsen was
there. Yeah, dude, Magnus Carlsen. That was another funny story. So, best part is, fans had to get bussed in. So some of the joys of us having the media package, like Drew always complains, is we had some of the best parking spots, unlike some of the pros. But jokes aside, so we were always close to kind of where the field was. So, you know what I mean? Parking was always, unless there were some stops that were worse, but it was just a short walk to our van. Fans were getting bussed in. And the best part is, you also had your check there. Like, the check was where the parking was. It wasn't on the property. So Magnus just shows up in an Uber. like into the parking lot. I'm like, man, I didn't put 1 and 2 together right away, but I was like, that's a famous person. And like,
Well, you could tell from like just how he wore his sweater on his neck and
yeah,
like
like
just
I'm
looking
like,
around.
I know this guy from somewhere, something. And then like I saw them trying to shuffle him back into the bus to go back to the parking lot to check in when this dude got paid to show up there. And then like luckily some media person was able to be like, no, that's
Like
Magnus
that's
Carlsen.
the guy's good at chess.
Yeah.
He's gotta go play disc
And then he
golf
had
and
like his brother,
chess.
was it his brother-in-law with the cast? And
I don't know if there's a bunch of footage of him throwing, but Disc Golf World's got footage of him throwing, so that's
yeah.
cool too.
That's all, man. That's just wild that we got that cut. Like we're
I know we
actually,
were just walking away from the tournament and he was like putting. I'm like, wait, I'm just gonna awkwardly record Magnus
yeah.
putting.
And then like him and Paul were filming stuff. Like so it was actually like really cool to see a sponsor engaged on that front and for its first stop of the tour, first time. And I was like, man, this is like a huge get by Paul. Like unbelievably huge get by Paul. And it's kind of like now forgotten or washed away because it was the first stop. But to have a sponsor like that, and that's the stuff that we always talk about, like you need outside sponsors, you need engaging outside sponsors, and to have this and to be able to use it. And it was such a neat, diverse mixture of personalities. And it came together to kind of get exposure for both, which is awesome. And it's awesome. And as much as people want to kind of downplay chess.com, it is fucking huge.
No,
It is huge.
No matter how you want to think about it, it's way bigger than disc golf.
Yeah, absolutely. And
You
it's
want that.
yeah, so big. And so yeah, why not? And try to get that exposure. And it was kind of neat. It was really cool. And like a lot of pros were playing chess, a lot of pros were engaged. But chess.com, Brooksfield, Mount Olympus, man, they're doing special stuff there. I can't wait to like get back when the clubhouse is built and like see what that property can really be. And like what Nick's doing is insane. And like I said, it's a perfect now location to kick off your season instead of out west and then having to travel east. You know what I mean? It makes a little bit more sense in where like you kind of circle the entire nation as you go throughout. So it's a huge advantage to having that event. I still think LVC can be worked in, and maybe
in the
eventually
future.
they will.
It'll be a Q
yeah.
series.
That is their answer to everything.
Right.
We'll make you a Q series. We'll put your name on that. Maybe we should just tour Q series.
I'll play.
There you go. You can add that's some content you can do.
Right. Because this was the first stop too, where like Berdogi was kind of thing, and I got people coming up to me like wanting to shit on their discs. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, Jefferson does have a little bit unique perspective on some of his fandoms than some of mine.
Yeah, well, people just want me to shit on things, like for sure, and I embrace that. And you could tell as the season goes on, I embrace that.
Yeah,
but yeah, so it's cool to finally. That was like before the turn really like switched.
It is also like weird when we have like kids coming up and they're like, "Yeah, we watch your stuff." I'm like, "You watch our stuff?"
Oh, a bunch of kids this time too.
I know.
Like, whoa,
Preston,
shout out,
Preston,
Preston,
bro. Preston's going places, guys. If you haven't seen him on Instagram, Preston's going places, bro.
Shout out, Preston.
And he was a fan. So
I'm trying to think of every other fan that I'm like. I
can't wait till that kid goes pro. Get an interview right away.
He's a disc golf world fan, dude.
Absolutely.
Took a picture of them. It's legit.
I think Preston might be more famous than us.
Okay. The guy that goes on a spiel about how we're fucking big.
We are big.
All right, I think that's gonna wrap
it's
up.
better
This
for
one,
me to say it than you, bro.
I said that, dude. I'm the douche.
Everyone
bro.
would have been like, "This guy's a tool."
I know. That's why I had. I agree. I agree. Unfortunately, that's just too much in my life. Is there anything else you want to say about the first stretch before?
No, man. Well, probably some previews into like Waco. I think I kind of like the idea of doing like a little preview.
Sure.
Let's do some like.
We didn't even go to Waco first. We stopped at Dylan Cease's private property.
Man, so like some foreshadowing into next season. Dylan Cease's Cactus
Which
Rock.
was another just random text. You know, a lot of stories are going to be told whereas we randomly text this person. They said yes. We did a cool thing. This was one of those.
Yeah. Yes. And then like also met some tour buddies on that stop that you guys will also realize some stories of like when you're touring with pros, no matter where you go, you will see said pros
All day, every day.
everywhere. Like if you're going grocery shopping, there's Cal, there's like, you know what I mean?
Joey Tamale.
So yeah, so like when we stopped at Cactus Rock with the full intention of doing a video, and we got attached with some pros, and the course was still in the works, so we didn't do exactly what we were intending to. Still a sick property, stayed there. I remember a random pit stop in middle of nowhere, I think fucking Alabama at like midnight. That was like kind of creepy.
Oh yeah.
We had a stay in Louisiana. That's not much there. But yeah, Texas. We had Waco. We have the Jewel of Waco confront us on our first Gem of Waco. Confront
More
us on the
clickbait
first day.
nonsense.
Yeah, hit us on clickbait. Rock and John staying on a property with a pro.
With like 20
30 pros,
Yeah,
I think it
there's hella
was.
pros.
30 pros. Got invited to stay on the property with 30 pros. So this kind of kicked off a little bit of our introduction more into the pro lifestyle. Seeing some of that and them getting used to us.
Yeah, that was fully living in the minivan too at this point.
Yeah, precisely. So that was kind of Waco in a nutshell. So it's going to be kind of interesting. Breakfast burritos were fucking on point in Waco, bro.
Subscribe to make sure you don't miss out on that. We'll see you then.